Good evening, and welcome to First Wednesday at Faith. We are glad you've joined us tonight, whether you're online or here in person with us. We are using our first Wednesdays of the month to tackle topics that we know are impacting our communities. And if you've been with us throughout the year, you know that we have delved into a lot of different subjects, everything from mental health and mental illness to how to recover from addiction, connecting with our teens in this disconnected world we live in, as well as things like in the beginning of this year, we've talked about food insecurity, and we've brought in resources like ICA and other partners. We also had the opportunity last month to talk about how do we break through racism, both in our cities and in our hearts, and we brought in Officer Scott Marks for that. So our goal is to bring resources and bring people with real stories to help us figure out how do we do better in the things that are causing hardships in our lives. And tonight, our topic is financial peace. How do you break through the stress that money can cause in marriage, in life, just trying to get through? And so tonight we're going to hear stories from a couple of families here at Faith and how they've applied some really good principles to their lives, and it's made a huge difference. And we're going to hear about then how you reach financial peace. We will be hearing from financial peace experts Dave Ramsey and Rachel Cruz with 10 things that you can begin to do with your money even now. So that's our plan for tonight. As always, we are going to start with a little bit of live music, and then we will hear about some other things going on, and we'll hear from our couples. Thank you.
There is none like you, no one else can touch my heart like you do. I could search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I could search for all eternity long and find there is none like you. Your mercy flows like a river wide. Healing comes from your hand. Suffering children are safe in his arms. There is none like you. There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I could search for all eternity long and find that there is none like you. There is none like you. There is none like you.
Hi everyone, we wanted to just give you a couple things going on here at Faith that we want you to be aware of as we are going through this next month. First off, for the next 3 Wednesdays, we gather for a half hour on Zoom for a quick devotional and encouragement just to celebrate a little bit of what we call Lent. It's our Lent virtual soup supper, and so we're doing that for the next 3 Wednesdays, and we invite you to join us on Zoom. Just a half hour, just a little bit of encouragement as we go through our days. Also want to let you know about that we have our community meal coming up that is the 18th of this month, it is an opportunity for, if you are struggling with some food insecurities or you know someone who is having some food insecurities, this is a great opportunity to pick up a hot meal to go. And so we invite you to come by the church and pick that up as well. Also, we want to do something just as a way to just celebrate being a part of the community. And so on Saturday, April 3rd, we are going to be going from 10 to 1, and we're going to have what we're calling an Easter adventure. It's going to be a great opportunity for all families to come and to have some fun activities together. There'll be a food truck that will be available, and lots of good things for kids to do. So we invite you to come. It'll be out in the parking lot, and if the weather gets inclement, we'll move it inside. So just make sure you put that on your calendar and get the word out that it is a great opportunity for everyone in the community just to celebrate moving into spring and Easter time. And speaking of Easter time, the one last thing I want to just mention is that we do have our Easter week services that week. We will have one on Friday in the evening, as well as then on Resurrection Sunday on the 4th. And so we invite you back. Those will all be available in person as well as streaming, and you can connect to those on our website as well. Just some of the things going on, and we hope you take advantage of them. But let's turn back now to our topic for the night. Deb?
Thank you, Pastor Buck. And now we're going to hear from these two families that have had incredible results. Their stories are really fantastic. As we begin to hear what it is to break from that place where stress and money own you to a place where you begin to have power over money. And you'll hear it in their stories, you'll hear it in their voices. I'd like to introduce to you Christopher and Mandy Garner. And they'll be sharing their story first tonight. They've been part of our Faith Church community for the last 8.5 years, but really have a great story to tell. And then Sissy Horstman, who's going to tell a little different perspective as she talks about she and her husband and kind of the way they came to this. Two very different stories, but achieving the same kind of ends. And so we're excited to hear from them. Go ahead, Christopher and Mandy, take it away.
Thank you, Debbie. I'm Christopher, as she said.
And I'm Mandy. We're in our 30s, and we're currently working on baby step 2, which is pay down debt.
I thought I knew how to handle money. I had a checkbook when I was 10 years old. Surely I'd be able to handle finances as an adult, right?
I am not a saver, and I like to spend a lot. It's a stress relief for me. My parents tried to teach me about money and saving. It just never clicked. As long as I have enough money to pay the bills at the end of the month, I'm good, right? Who needs a savings account?
Well, we were newly married college graduates with a mortgage worth of student loan debt and no house to show for it. 2 car payments, and we were living month to month.
Barely. There was a lot more month at the end of our money. Stress was eating at us and tearing us apart, our marriage and just ourselves.
Desperate to get out from under the weight of our loans and hoping to start a family, we started taking financial classes at our local credit union. After taking the classes 3 times, we had little more than a hopeful budget, and we felt discouraged. We were losing hope of ever getting ahead.
The budget that we had made sounded more like a you can't plan. And I don't know about you, but when I hear you can't, my brain says, watch me. We really didn't see a way out of debt.
We heard about Financial Peace University and decided to purchase some of the older materials secondhand. We decided to work through them on our own and not through a class. We started following Dave's advice half-heartedly at first. We sold our second car, so we just moved to 1 car. We went to an inexpensive home, a starter home, and that allowed us to save on the rent that was always increasing. And all of that helped us to allow Mandy to be a stay-at-home mom, which would have never been possible prior to doing any of these things.
And I was so reluctant. I didn't like what Dave had to say at all. And my friends and family all warned me about his crazy ways. Looking back, I'm really glad I didn't listen to them. They were also being crushed by debt and didn't have any answers either. So Dave gave me that tough love that I needed, even if it did come off a little strong.
Now, with only 1 income and a building desire to be debt-free, we decided to go for it with the intensity that we were reluctant to at first.
Dave talks about gazelle intensity. We needed to move to get out of debt, and to move fast, like a gazelle being chased by a cheetah.
Our goal this last year was to pay off 8 student loans, which we accomplished. In 19 months, we paid off 14 loans, which is over $35,000 for us, and our goal is to be debt-free by the end of this year. Last year, we refinanced the house to a 15-year loan, which I never thought was possible. And on Monday of this last week, we actually purchased a car outright, and we don't have any payments on it.
If I could go back in time and tell my younger self that we would achieve these impossible goals, I wouldn't have believed it.
We finally have confidence, not just hope, that in our path to financial freedom. And when we get discouraged, we find inspiration in the people who have gone before us, and we look up their debt-free screams.
If you haven't heard of a debt-free scream, I highly encourage you to go look one up. They are truly inspiring.
We want to host this class to help other people experience the same success and hope that we have, and to help ourselves to finish Baby Step 2 strong as a launching point for the rest of our lives. How about you, Sissy?
Thanks, Christopher and Mandy. Well, our story is very different than the Garners. I applied the FPU principles to our family finances while literally dragging my husband along for the ride. I thrive on planning, whereas my husband, well, not so much. We also did something similar to the Garners. I found a DVD set that a friend of mine had, and we used that. And so that was our opportunity. We did it on our own, and I think going through the class with a group of people will be much better. The good news is for us is that we've been married for almost 17 years, so our approach to FPU did work. Why do we like FPU? Well, the steps are straightforward, and they work. It starts with budgeting, and they provide the tools to help with that. It takes time to develop healthy financial habits, so give yourself some time to learn and apply the knowledge. Talking about money can be really hard. FPU helps with that. My husband was a doubting Thomas when we started, but he changed his mind because he saw it work. Our budgeting meetings are much more fun now. We are excited to be able to pay cash for our daughter's college education, and we recently sold our home, and we look forward to paying cash for our next home that we purchase. Whether you're single or married, in your 20s or your 60s, whether you make $10 an hour or $100 an hour, FPU can help you become debt-free.
I really like what you were saying about giving us the tools to speak finances to each other, and especially the budgeting. We found that particularly interesting at first, shall we say. And looking back at it, it's like, wow, we don't really have arguments about money or finances anymore. We can have shared goals and common interests, and we're working together as a team.
And I agree, and I think for us, it was so awkward those first few months. We would say, well, is that part of the budget? And one of us would be, more on the budget, which was me, and the other one who didn't want to pay attention to the budget, didn't want to hear me saying, is that on the budget? So I think that it's okay to take a little time, and I think we'll learn in lesson 1 that on average it takes about 3 months for people to start working their budget. But boy, does it help once you pay attention and once you use it and you see the positive outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that I'm the person who likes to do spreadsheets, and we found out that Mandy really doesn't like the spreadsheets. So through the class, when we took it on our own, we determined, okay, if I'm going to talk spreadsheets, it's probably just going to be like 3 minutes max, and then we're going to move on from it instead of hour-long marathons of trying to get across what I wanted to.
I agree. I also like doing the spreadsheets, and I was really excited to show every line item and learn to quit showing every line item.
Yeah, and he's not joking about the hour-long discussions. And I was checked out by, minute 5. I'm like,
Yeah, taking the other classes through our credit union, we just didn't get anywhere with them. I mean, we felt like we were learning, we were growing, but it didn't have any results. So I'm really glad that we did the hard work, we're putting the time, the hours, and getting things straightened out, and now we have some success, and we can talk about this, and we want others to share in that.
And the communication piece. So how does that, right? And I joke, but it was, I did drag him along. I just made up the budget and told him what it was going to be. How is it now with communication?
I feel like we're a team. We're on the same page. We've got shared goals. We're always looking back at our goals, and it just works. It works for us. We're so much happier, and we have way less stress weighing us down.
What was it like paying cash for your vehicle?
It was weird, to be honest. It's kind of like looking across at the guy he's ready to finance, and I'm ready to write a check, and he's like, oh, that's different. I'm like, yeah, it is different, but it feels great.
Have fun. Yes.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It's I never thought that was possible. You know, my parents always talked about how you'll always have a car payment. That's, yeah.
It's not true.
Right.
It's not true.
It doesn't have to be true.
Yep. Exciting. And I like how you said that you didn't think a 15-year loan was possible. And
Yeah.
look, and now when you refinance, it is. So how
Yes.
exciting is to know you're going to have that paid off in 15 years
Right.
or sooner.
Right. Hopefully sooner, yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you, all of you, for sharing your stories. That is so exciting. So you guys, over $35,000 that you've paid off in debt. And Sissy, you have funded your daughter's college in cash. And all of this has come through using these basic principles, right? But you've all said it wasn't easy to start with, right? It's a big step, right? So I'm really excited that you guys are willing to offer this class here and help others kind of step into those first steps that are so hard. Tonight we have that video that we're going to show, and this is a video that talks about 10 different things you could begin to do right now with your money. It was actually written as a New Year's resolution kind of approach, but we thought it still made sense as we're coming up on tax time and all of that these 10 things could really apply to all of us. So we're going to hear on video from Dave Ramsey and Rachel Cruz. And while we're doing that, if you at home have questions or people here have questions, we'd encourage you to go ahead and put them in the comments online. And those of you here, we're going to open up the mics afterward. And we'd just like to throw a few questions to these guys so that you can ask about the real life things of making this happen. And I thank you guys for being vulnerable and sharing your story. And we'll look forward to what Dave and Rachel have to say now.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Rachel Cruz Show. And as you can see next to me, your second favorite personal finance experts here,
Could be the fourth or fifth.
Dave Ramsey. You might be down the list. I don't know.
There we go.
That feels about right. No, thanks for being back.
My plan's working.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me come back.
Yes, so we're in January, and so we're starting off 2021. And a lot of people have New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions to fix their money. We see that a lot. A lot of people talk about health, and a lot of people talk about their financial health as well.
Yeah, I mean, 30 years ago, started doing this. It's, January 1st is quit smoking, lose weight, save money, get out of debt, and so money goals are always top of mind because we're setting a new year. And with the dumpster fire of 2020 in our rearview mirror, yeah, we need some goals.
No.
We need some stuff to go after here.
Yes, but don't you think, it's not like a magic wand, and when the calendar turns to this year,
It's not, but
Dude,
what, it's
I'm gonna
not,
Debbie
but what
Downer
it does,
for a
it does give you perspective.
yes, that's
Because
fair.
you say, okay,
That's
it's
fair.
a milestone. There's a marker here that says, okay, new stuff ahead, old stuff behind. It's not perfect. You
Yes.
always carry some of it with you into the next
Yes.
year. But we also know we get a fresh start. We get
Yeah.
a do-over. We get grace.
There-
We get a whiteboard that doesn't have anything written on it.
Yep. There's like a mentality shift, when you start the new year. So we want to do some things that are different this year. So there's 10 things that we're going to walk through about all of you watching, which you can do different this year. Number one, you're not going to be surprised by this, but get on a budget. Okay, a budget, it really is. It's the easiest way to get in control of your money. When you get on a budget, you feel like you got a raise, and you're actually intentional. You are telling your money where to go. You are controlling your money. Your money is not controlling you. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't live on a budget. They don't live on a plan.
Well, not only do you write it out, but then you do what you wrote out. I talked to a lady on the radio the other day. She'd done budgets for 6 months, and they just didn't work. And it's like she had $300 for groceries in a family of 5. And I said, well, you're not living on that. Oh, I know. So she had like this theory on paper, but then
Yes.
over here was her life. So you actually have to freaking do the thing you wrote down, and then you will see movement. The thing about the budget is budget equals power. And I have never talked to someone in Financial Peace University in one-on-one coaching or on a radio call that didn't, when they finally actually wrote it down and then lived on what they wrote down, didn't get a sense of power. It was the first time they were on top of money instead of money was on top of them.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and it's one of those things you're going to look up on April 15th when you do your taxes next year and be like, oh yeah, I know exactly where all my money went, right? Because most people, they're doing their taxes and they're like, oh my gosh, where did all my money go? Yeah, because you don't live intentionally. And so the budget, it has to be a part of your financial log. I mean, it's so hard to win financially without it. So do the budgets. Okay, number 2, stop using debt.
No, that's on the list, really.
I know, so shocking, so shocking. But a lot of people have a credit card as their safety net. It's their emergency fund. They depend on debt either because they're buying stuff they just simply can't afford and they want it, or they're not planning well. And I talk to a lot of people like this, that they use it for their bills because they don't feel like they have enough money coming in. And it's kind of, yeah, it is that safety net. So the idea of just stop digging yourself in that hole is important.
The first step to getting out of debt is stop. Just stop. Stop borrowing. If you stop borrowing and you pay minimum payments, 42 years later, your credit cards will be gone on average. That's, by the way, that is about right. Your car will pay off. Eventually, your house will pay off. Even old Sally Mae will eventually get paid off. If you don't do anything extra, if you don't do anything special, if you just stop, that's the first step. Now, of course, we want you to do extra. We want you to do the debt snowball. We want you to change your whole mindset around debt because that's the shortest distance between where you are and your dreams, where you are and changing your family tree, where you are and wealth and outrageous generosity.
Yeah, and then people do get sucked into the idea, okay, well, I'll have my credit card because I want the points, I want to live on all of this. And so what you have to realize, though, is that game, you never get ahead. You never get ahead and you never win. We always laugh about this, but it's true. It's like you look at the bank building and like, it's a little bit bigger than your house, isn't it? Yeah, because they're making lots of money off of you people. So stopping with the credit card, the car loan, everything, stop going into debt. All right, number 3 is get serious about saving. This is something I feel like I talked to a lot of people in interviews and different things in 2020 specifically, where they're like, I'm not a great saver, but now I want to be. How do I start? What do I do to start saving? And I think there's a couple of things. I mean, number 1, the budget. We talk about this, making it a priority in the budget that you actually say, yes, I am going to put this amount of money away. And you put it somewhere separate. Don't keep it in your checking account. Put it just in a savings account. I don't care. But actually move an amount of money. And that's just a small first step to actually get this grasp of, okay, I can save money. Because there's a lot of people that they just don't save at all.
Well, I think the phrase that you've got there is exactly right. Get serious. Because, listen, if you needed $10,000 that you don't have today to save the life of your child, you wouldn't need a technique to save money. You wouldn't need an app to save money. You'd freaking go find $10,000 because you'd be serious. When people get serious, because the pandemic just about wiped them out, or when I went broke, I got serious, or when someone lost a job, they get serious. When you get serious, that's when you'll do it. And you'll find a way. And we've got lots of techniques and things we can show you to make it easier.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be easy, ever. And so you've got to be serious.
That's right. That's right. All right, number 4, as we're talking about saving, let's talk about investing. Stay the course when it comes to investing. If you're to the point that you're out of debt, you have a fully funded emergency fund, and you're investing 15% of your income into retirement, which is what we teach, and you're doing that, don't let 2020 freak you out. I mean, it was a volatile year. It ended pretty nice. It ended kind of up, which is nice. But stay the course. Remember, your investing is not for short term. If you're looking at it every single day and freaking out with the ups and the downs, don't look at it. Okay, it's for the long term. I think that's hard for people to grasp.
Yeah, the only ones that get hurt on a roller coaster are the ones that jump off in the middle of the ride. And if you jumped off in March and April in 2020, you jumped off at the bottom. And we're on the radio, we're on TV, we're on all the shows telling you, don't do this, don't cash out your 401k, don't do this unless it's to avoid a bankruptcy or a foreclosure. Don't freak out, because now not only did all of the losses from the pandemic drop return, but now there's a gain over that.
Yeah.
And you missed all of that. You bought at the top and sold at the bottom. This is not how you build wealth.
Econ 101, Econ 101. All right, number 5, find little ways to spend less. Now, I feel like people kind of get in the mindset of what's comfortable. And so they buy the same things from the same stores, they buy the same type of food from the same grocery store, and you just kind of like live the rhythm. And I would say shake up all of your purchases. Like sit there and say, okay, what if I shopped at a different grocery store that was more, less expensive? What if I actually bought clothes from a different store or waited till they're on sale? Like the little things you can do just to shake up what you're spending can actually save you money in the long run.
What if you said on Amazon, I'm only doing this category, nothing else? That gets you out of the impulse, land of Amazon.
Yeah, that makes me hurt.
That would gotcha, right?
Number 6, if you're married, combine your checking accounts. This is a big one. People do not like this piece of advice. It's like the one piece of advice I'll put out there, even on social media, and people get so mad at me, so mad at me. But here's the deal. If you are running on 2 separate tracks when it comes to your marriage, on any part of life, but specifically with your money, it's hard to win financially on a logistical level, but also an emotional level. Like when you say, hey, you know what, we're a team, we're at this together, we're not enemies, we're not at odds, we together can work towards goals, and we can actually be a team when it comes to money. It changes the whole spirit of this conversation.
If you wanted to be independent and stand on your own, you shouldn't have freaking got married, all right? The definition of marriage is a shared life. There's no way you're gonna win if you don't get on the same page. When you agree on your spending, you're agreeing on your fears. When you agree on your spending, you're agreeing on your dreams. You are combining your life. You are one, as the old preacher said. Quit trying to be roommates when you're married. That's what's wrong with your marriage, because you're stinking selfish and you haven't given up your personal little rights in order to combine with your mate. Do this stuff. I'm telling you, this lights me up because it is the number one thing we see holding people back. It is they got 2 different people pulling 2 different ways all the time, and then they can't figure out why they can't hit their goals because of their own little selfish self trying to be independent. That's just ridiculous. Hope I wasn't unclear.
No, the Rachel Cruz show would say that it's very vulnerable. It's very scary to combine your accounts if you never have. But no, seriously though, but for real, I know he's the hard love person. We know that. And it's true. Everything, yes, it is all true. But to a couple that's sitting there, they may not have a couple in their life that they say, oh yeah, that's a healthy marriage. I want to be like them. And they're really on their own trying to figure this out. And the one thing that feels safe to them, they feel like they're giving up and they're saying, okay, I'm gonna combine this with you. So to that point though, it is scary and it is vulnerable.
But that sense of safety is an illusion.
Yeah.
Because you're damaging the very progress that you could have made. And so you've created an unsafe environment in your effort to be safe. And so it's an illusion. It's just ridiculous. Seriously, we cannot find, 30 years of doing this, I can't find any data points of people who run little separate lives who go win big time in their relationships, their marriage, in their money. It just doesn't exist, guys. It really doesn't exist. So quit pushing back against it and decide, I'm either gonna be married or I'm not. And if I'm gonna be married, it's gonna be one.
All together. And again, not only will that help you with your money, you guys, but seriously, the unity that's created within marriage with your spouse working as a team, it changes everything. It does. All right, number 7, speaking of spouses, get on the same page as your spouse. We kind of just touched on that a little bit, but getting on the same page and say, okay, if you make the decision, yes, together we are one, we're combining accounts, we're gonna work, then get on the same page. Look at your expenses, look at your budget, look at your goals, look at your short-term goals, your long-term goals. Get on the same page together with where you guys wanna go financially.
Well, and it does go with the other one, because when you say, I'm going to combine my finances, it doesn't say you disappeared, that you have no personal identity.
Right.
When Sharon and I combined our finances, believe me, she has a freaking opinion, okay, and is pretty loud about it. There aren't any weak Ramsey women, okay? So
Sharon Ramsey's loud, Dave Ramsey's quiet and meek. So
yes,
it's fun.
well,
it's
no,
fun.
Not really. But I mean, you know, she doesn't have any trouble speaking up, all right? And so we're gonna combine our finances, but that doesn't mean we lost our individuality. And we're gonna be on the same page, but it doesn't mean, we've got a same goal over here.
Right.
We're on the same page. The page is, this is where we wanna go. Now, we may have some differences about personality styles, about how we're gonna get there. She's a saver, I'm a spender. So her way is to save into it, my way is to earn into it in a sense of abundance. But we all are agreeing, okay, and we can hear each other, respect each other's position, respect each other's personality style, and still be on the same page. You don't lose your identity.
No. Well, and even on a tactical level within the budget, you have a line item for you, a line item for your spouse. You each have money that you can go spend. Like it's, yes, like you're saying, you're not losing who you are, but you're saying, hey, together we are a team and we're one. All right, number 8 is stop comparing yourself to others. This is a huge one. Man, I feel like, especially during the pandemic, the social media consumption was just like out the roof. I mean, people just live online and just looking and looking and looking at what everyone else is doing. And it is so easy to compare not only like the good parts of life, but what's funny, you may not know this because you don't spend a lot of time on Instagram, but during the pandemic, so many moms were home with their kids because of school, and it like became a joke of like wine hour starts at like 3 p.m. and like everyone's just like, oh my God, we gotta get through the day. And it was almost like everybody's struggle was being compared to other people's struggle, like who had the more struggle, who had the more kids that struggled more than the person that did it. I mean, it's just so funny, but I'm like, the comparison game is just, it's constant no matter what it is. And so with your money specifically, you have to have the blinders on. You can't be looking at what everyone else is doing because you're not gonna win because you're taking on someone else's goals and someone else's life versus living in your own shoes and in your own life.
Someone wrote a book called Love Your Life, Not Theirs. It was a #1 bestseller. And it's a good idea to do that. It really, really is. When we study people who are inordinately successful with money, the Millionaire Study we did for Chris Hogan's book, one of the things we find is they, somewhere along the line in their life, they matured and just, in most cases, almost completely lost their need to please others, their need to be impressive. And they were more concerned about their goals than what their next door neighbor who was broke thought about it. If your broke friends are making fun of your financial plan, that means you're on track. I mean, so you've got to say, as for me and mine, this is what we're going to do. I had the beautiful advantage of having gone broke in my 20s. And in that, I was someone who had I was very status conscious. What I drove, what I wore, the watch, the whole bit. And I, you know, number one, we went broke and it just crushed us. But one of the benefits that came out of that was my need to impress others just completely went away, what the Bible calls the fear of man.
Yeah.
And it just changed everything. It sets you so free when you don't need to be impressive for others. Instead, impressive is hitting our family's goals, my husband and I, my wife and I, for our kids, for changing our family tree.
So good. All right, number 9 is to focus on your behavior. We always say that personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. So you can know all of this stuff, but if you don't do anything with it, nothing's gonna change. And so that behavior change is so big. And change is uncomfortable. Change is hard. I mean, I told the story the other day, but it's true. It was so visceral in my mind. Caroline, the 3-year-old, I switched the car seats. This was like last month or something. And she had a ride on the other side of the car, and it was a freaking mess because she was like, this is not the side of the car. This is not the side of the car. So I'm like, I'm even looking at her and I remember thinking, okay, she doesn't even like change. Like it is uncomfortable. People like doing the same thing over and over again, even if it's not getting the result that they want. And so that behavior change, you guys, is so key in 2021. If you want a different result with your money, you have to change what you've been doing. And I talk about this a lot in my new book, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, because understanding why you do the behaviors you do is going to help you advance, not only with your money, but with your life. But that behavior change, focusing on behavior is massive in winning financially.
If I don't like the way I look, my physical condition, I don't like the way my kids are behaving, I don't like the way my marriage is operating, I don't like the way my career is operating, I don't like where we are with our money, then it's illogical to not change. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same results. To think otherwise is what's known as the definition of insanity. And so if you keep making the cake with using this recipe and it's chocolate and you wanted coconut, you probably need to change the recipe, you know? Don't keep doing the same stuff over and over and just go, I wonder why it's not working. Well, you know why it's not working, because you haven't faced the pain of change. And when the pain of the pain of where you are, exceeds the pain of change, is the only time you'll actually change. Now, you can manifest that. You can just get disgusted enough to go, I gotta lose some weight, which I did a few months ago. And so I can't keep eating boxes of donuts and get anything but larger. Something has to stop.
Something has to change, yep. Yeah, and I think too, for people to realize, okay, that there is hope in the future, right? Like that hope to say what I'm changing to is better than my present.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is Everyday Solutions, we've been doing this for like 30 years, you guys, and the amount of success that we have seen with people that do this stuff, that they live on a budget, they get out of debt, they save, they do the things that you want to change to, it works. Like it works. And so what the future you're working towards, have hope that it is so much better than where you are in the present if you're not happy where you are. All right, number 10, last but not least, is to live on less than you make. This is kind of like a Dave Ramsey-ism, but it's something you've been saying for decades.
Yeah. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. Wise people save money. But a foolish man devours all he has. And I looked up when I first read that in my 20s. I thought, I'm a fool. I've been devouring everything. Everything that comes in, we spend it all, and more. And so by definition, I'm a fool. I thought, well, fools don't get ahead, so probably need to change this. And it's kind of like, hey, fool, really change your ways.
Living on less than you make. All right, Dave Ramsey.
That's fun.
Dad, thanks for being here, for real. All right, 2021, you guys, make this the year that you change everything, that you take these small 10 steps. They're not small, guys. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Again, if you don't like where you are, you have to change and you have to do something differently. So hopefully this list of 10 helped you out, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Good times.
2021.
All right, so I want to invite you all to join us in our Financial Peace University class and learn how to actually implement some of those steps so that they help you succeed and get financial peace.
Now we'll open up to questions. Anybody have questions?
I have one for you guys. What was the point that got you to the place where you were serious about it? You said you have to get to a point. Was there something that got you guys going?
So the question was, what was the point that we decided we were going to be serious about it, and it wasn't just going to be so half-hearted anymore? I think I can answer that for myself. I'll let you answer for when you got to that point. But for me, it was, I like spreadsheets. I ran the amortization schedule on our student loans, and I realized we'd probably never pay these student loans off unless we got serious. And I got disgusted by that. I couldn't stand the thought of having to pay these student loans forever.
Yeah, and I think you just bringing that to me and saying, like, we got to do something was kind of where I went. I was sick of not being able to do things too, though. I like to go to concerts and movies and go out to dinner with friends, and I couldn't do any of that on our no-spend budget. So it wasn't working for me either.
How about you, Susie?
Ours was that we are a two-income family, with one kid, and there was never that much money at the end of the year. So although we didn't have much debt, we just didn't have much savings, and we didn't do any trips. And we saw these people doing all these trips, and we're like, how are they doing the trips? So we got serious. So we decided we needed to be intentional with our savings, and that was a turning point for us. So we could go off and do, some fun things.
So the fun things are very motivating. I think another thing for me is I was seeing other people who were financially successful, and they seemed a lot more joyous and joyful, and I started examining what are these people doing differently, and they were just giving all the time of themselves, their time, their money, their effort, and I thought, man, I'm not in a good place to do that right now. How do I get to a point where I can freely give and not have to say, no, I don't have the money to give to this cause that I really care about, or no, I can't do that trip, I don't have the finances for it, or I have to struggle to get some sort of scholarship or something. And that's all very important, but I just wanted to be more free, to be joyfully giving of myself and my resources. Any other questions? We have questions online, maybe? Okay.
I do want to say, too, Beyond Us Committee here at Faith is generously going to reimburse anyone who wants it $60 per household to do the class. So that covers the 3-month membership to Ramsey Plus. And then our class falls as a benefit of Ramsey Plus. You also get some apps to work with, budgeting apps, and there's a downloadable audio book of Rachel Cruz's Know Yourself, Know Your Money. There's free will making platform that they have.
So you might be able to check some other things off of your list. They make it really easy to do that. And if you're the workbook type, I think there's a workbook available. So if you like to do a pen or paper copy, you can do that, or digital.
Yeah, if you want a hard copy, they actually send one out for free, so we can get that for you too.
So how much is the class?
So there's 3 options. You can do the 3-month option. Oh, sorry. Buck asked how much the class was. There's 3 options. There's 3-month, which is $60. It's, I believe, $59.99. And then a 6-month option for $99.99. And then 1 year is $130, so $129.99. And that reimbursement goes towards any of those, so it would just be $60 off of whatever you decided. There's also a 14-day free trial, so you can try the first session for free on this Sunday at 7 p.m.
So Dave Ramsey is pretty fast talking, and there were a lot of points there. How could you possibly put that into work and not just get angry at the guy?
So Dave has so the question was, is Dave's personality is pretty out there, right? You have to have a sense of humor, and Mandy and I have talked about this. I was really put off. I don't appreciate in the beginning his outrageous behavior. Mandy said she just laughed at him. The thing is he is tough love, right? He speaks the truth in a very direct manner, and most of us need to hear it, even though we don't want to. So it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, sometimes it's validating. It's like, oh, I've always felt that way, and now I feel like you're backing me up. And sometimes it's like, oh man, I really need to examine the way that I've been making my decisions and get after that behaviors that she was talking about in the video. But I think it's all towards that ultimate goal of getting ahead, getting your finances in order, doing the right thing by your spouse, doing the right thing by God, and it's all really positive in the end.
And he's been through it. He because of his lifestyle and overspending, they had to file bankruptcy when he was in his 20s. So he's lived this. This isn't just somebody who's trying to give us a story without ever having experienced it. So I think he's giving us just from the deep down inside of just the struggle.
Yeah, and his struggle was, I mean, he was a millionaire and had to file bankruptcy in his 20s. And then he was able to rebuild all of that. So I think, yeah, I laugh at him because he reminds me a lot of my dad. So if you can try to like just take it with a grain of salt, Dave's kind of not the nicest person, but he's gonna give it to you straight, and it's biblical. If you know that what he's telling you is true and it's biblical, you know it's right. So you just gotta smile and, okay, Dave.
So how does the class work? I mean, is it just a video, or is there a small group? Will there be interaction? Will there be encouragement?
Sure. We're doing a virtual class. Oh, I am good at this, huh? The question is, how does the class work? So we're doing a virtual class, and there is a 45-ish minute video that will be required to watch ahead of time. And then we're going to have a 45-minute-ish discussion in Zoom and go over, Dave's got lessons, and there's the workbook, and there's activities that we're going to do. So
The part that I'm looking forward to that we haven't really haven't gone through this on our own, is building a little bit of a community around this effort, this goal that we are all sharing, and getting out of debt and getting things in order financially. And having a little bit of accountability, too. That's something that speaks to me for this class, and I think they have it set up really well to provide that. If that's what you need, and that's what I feel like I need, I'm going to get that.
And we aren't going to make you do anything. So although the 3 of us are hosting, We're going to help encourage and support, but it's up to people who attend to do the hard work.
Yeah, we will definitely be cheerleaders, but we're not going to do it for you, and we're not going to make you do it.
So have you guys really cut up your credit cards?
We really have.
Yep, we canceled our credit cards.
We have one that we use and we pay off every like 3 days. We've watched our FICO score crash into the toilet, which was so shocking. It's very disconcerting to assume that this score that you thought was such a definition of a defining moment, that it means nothing. It's just your debt load, and to see it get worse is just like, but you know, it's fun now to just like watch it get lower.
Yeah, I feel like the blinders are off, and I see the financial institutions set these things up. They're not in my favor. So as my FICO score decreases, my bank accounts increase, and it feels really good.
Well, that sounds good, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your hearts. And we want to just welcome and invite everyone to seriously consider taking part in Financial Peace University. As you've seen, it has the power to change your life. And there aren't a lot of things in our world that can make that much of a difference as getting a hold of our finances. So we want to encourage you that if this is something for you, and I think it was Sissy said, everyone from 20s to 60s, it applies to all of us. And so I hope that even the 10 things got you thinking a little bit, and sign up and take the class. It's well worth it. Also, we want to just let you know, we'll be back again on the first Wednesday of April. And what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about a group of people that are building lives out of brokenness. It's a ministry called Life Rebuilders. They are working with men who are coming out of prison and helping them get their lives back together. And one of the things that we do here at Faith is the men here have been building what we call welcome bags. As the men come out of prison, they come out many times with simply the clothes on their back. And so what we do is we provide a bag with some toiletries, a Bible, some notebook, a watch, so that because they're going to have to find a job, just simple things to get their lives moving in the right direction. And so what we're going to do as part of our first Wednesday is we're going to hear some of the stories from those who are leading, and hopefully even from some of the people that are in the process as well. And then what we're going to do afterwards is we're going to have the opportunity to actually build those welcome bags right here on site at Faith afterwards. Some of our men will but it'll be open for everybody. And we really want you it's a wonderfully satisfying experience. And so we hope you'll take advantage of that. It's the first Wednesday in April, so join us for that. And I think you'll enjoy yourself. So let me pray for us as we close our night. God, thank you that you know how much money can control us. And Lord, this is an opportunity for us to break free in new ways. And so Lord, I pray that if you are prompting people to sign up for Peace University, that they would take that next step. They would actually do something about it, change their behavior. And the first step is joining the class. And so Lord, I hope that they would take advantage of that, because I know you will use that mightily. Thanks, God, for this opportunity to be together. Amen. Thanks, everybody, for spending time with us, and I hope you have a good month, and we'll see you next Wednesday on the first Wednesday of April. Bye-bye now.